Welcome back, everybody. So my next movie review for you is Doctor Sleep. But once again, if you enjoy watching my reviews, if you could please like, share and subscribe to my channel, that would be very, very much appreciated. So Doctor Sleep was released on the 8th of November 2019. Its director was Mike Flanagan. It was made on a budget of 55 million US dollars and made 72.3 million US dollars in the box office. The cast in this movie, I should say, consists of Ewan McGregor, Rebecca Ferguson, Kylie Curran, as hope how you say her name, plus many others. So in the second installment in the Shining franchise, we follow a older Danny Torrance who is struggling through life. He is an alcoholic. He is still very much affected by the traumatic events of what happened in the Overlook Hotel when he was younger. But in this movie, we get to see a brand new evil rise, and with the help of somebody else, Danny Torrance must go and fight this evil to stop anybody else from getting hurt. Now, knowing I watched The Shining for the second time last Sunday morning, I was very, very much on board with watching this movie. Extremely, extremely on board. Now, if you watch my Shining review, you know that on the second time of watching it, I have a brand new appreciation for this movie compared to the first time I watched it 20 years ago. And I was very, very much looking forward to watching Doctor Sleep. I did the trailer reaction for it, which really drew me in. It was an absolutely fantastic trailer, and it really got me kind of wanting to see this movie. Now, I am going to be reviewing the director's cut, so it is a 3-hour long movie. And if you really, really want to know what I think about this movie, well, the review is coming up right about now. So, here we go. Doctor Sleep movie review. What do I think about it? I think this movie is absolutely fantastic. I really, really do. I think this movie is very, very well done. It's very, very entertaining. And I got a lot of enjoyment from watching this. Now, yes, I did watch the director's cut, which is 3 hours long, but I still found myself extremely entertained from this movie. I really, really did. I watched it the other night on the back of me watching The Shining for the second time last Sunday. So The Shining was already running around in my head, and then Doctor Sleep I watched not long afterwards, a few days afterwards. And I've spent the last 2 days basically trying to think about what I'm going to say in this review, because there is so much to enjoy about this. Now, I'm not going to lie, it is not as good as The Shining, but it's not far away either. And that's just my own personal opinion. There is always something going on. Like I said, 3-hour movie, it felt like an hour and a half movie because there's so much going on, or so many different things going on in this movie just to really captured your attention. I never found myself bored at any point of this movie in any way, shape, or form. And this is a bonus for a 3-hour movie, and I never found myself bored in any way. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Performances in this movie, especially from the three main characters, as in Ewan McGregor as Danny Torrance, we've got Kylie Curran as Albert Stone, and we've also got the main villain in this movie in the form of Rebecca Ferguson as Rose the Hat. Those three performances just in itself make this movie. Ewan McGregor is absolutely brilliant. Like I said, he's playing the older Danny Torrance in this movie, where he is suffering. He is trying to escape his past. He's still haunted by ghosts from his past or his childhood, and it's really taken a very, very heavy toll and effect on him to the point of alcoholism, and he's just struggling through life at the best he possibly can until he makes a conscious decision to actually change who he wants to be. And I think his performance throughout the whole of this movie was absolutely brilliant in every single way. And I'm not over exaggerating that. I honestly think his performance through this is absolutely fantastic. And it's exactly the same as Kylie Curran's character as Albert Stone. Now, she is another person in this world who can shine, and another good enjoyment about this movie is they go more into depth about what shining is. So in the first one, it's like communicating and seeing things. In this one, yes, it's exactly the same thing, but they've added more into this, and you get this from Albert Stone in here. Throughout the whole of this movie, she is constantly adapting her abilities. And I think it's absolutely fantastic. Every time she returns on screen, she has learned a new ability to do with The Shining, and she's using it to her advantage. I'm not going to give too much away on the storyline, but every time you get one moment she's on the screen and she's learned this ability and you're going, okay, that's pretty cool. Then you probably won't see her for a little bit. And then the next time she pops up, she's learned another ability or another way of using this shining. She also communicates with Danny Torrance in here through a very long distance non-phone call or phone kind of pen pal kind of scenario, as in with a blackboard, which I think is absolutely brilliant. I really, really do. It's that connection between everybody that can shine. I really enjoy this kind of element of this, and you really get to see a lot more in depth about what this ability can actually be and what it can do. It's fantastic in every single way. It's very difficult not to say too much. But just those two characters alone on screen and what they do throughout the whole of this movie to try and beat the main villain in here is just fantastic. And even Kylie Coren's character in here, Albert Stone, for a kid facing a villain who is very, very old, extremely old, or very, very experienced with supernatural kind of powers, she has the upper hand on that villain on every single occasion. You always think that the villain will come back and hit you hard. And yes, there are certain elements or certain parts of this movie where there is a hard-hitting element for that character, but she always has the upper hand on the main protagonist, and it's just a case of how they're going to finally defeat her, which, to be honest with you, it doesn't take a lot of figuring out. This is the only problem I've got with this movie is the fact that the storyline is very predictable, but I'm okay with it because there is a big 2-hour build-up towards this, and you really get a in-depth kind of story to a lot of the characters, or backstory, even more of a backstory to Danny Torrance. You get a backstory to Albert Stone and her abilities, and you really start to gather quite a big emotional attachment in this movie, which just makes it even more entertaining. Now, there is so much I want to talk about with this movie. I could generally honestly make this movie, if it was a spoiler review, easily half an hour long. Easily. Okay, because there is so much good stuff in this movie. It really, really is. Now, going on to Rebecca Ferguson's character in here, Rose the Cat. Now, Rose the Hat, not Rose the Cat. I made a mistake. I'm not editing now, that can stay. So, Rose the Hat, she is the main villain. She is part of a big group of kind of like this ancient kind of evil that basically go off trying to find people that can shine so they can, not giving too much away, they just hunt down people that can shine. And for a group of villains, they are actually pretty terrifying, to be fair. And to be honest, yes, you know their motivations and you know their goals, you know why you're doing this, and you understand why they're doing this, and yet they're still the villain. But she is very, very good, extremely good in this movie. Very, very scary. She's kind of one side, she's got this very, very kind, gentle, calm kind of side, and then on the flip side, she's very, very loose cannon. She knows her powers and she knows what she wants, and she won't stop at anything to try and get it. I think she's actually really, really fantastic in this movie, and it just, like I said at the beginning of this video, those three main characters just alone, without everything else which is going on in this movie, just make it even more entertaining. The way this was shot is absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed it. There are some jump scares in here. It's not hugely scary, okay? It's not hugely scary, but I'm alright with that because some of this movie is left up to your imagination. Again, at the end of this movie, again, you don't get the kind of answers that you want in certain respects. In other words, if you're looking for answers to do with what happened in The Shining, you won't get that as such. But just the way they did this is 2 hours of building up towards the end to do with when they go back to the Overlook Hotel. It's absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, not scary. Not all horror movies have to be scary or blood or gore. Okay, and they don't. There is a great scene in here because Danny Torrance actually at a certain point takes a job at a hospice, and not giving too much away, there's a line there where he's sat next to somebody who's dying on the bed. The line, I believe, if I remember the line is, it's like, I'm scared. So Danny Torrance basically goes, I'll go and get somebody to help you. And the reply back to that is like, it doesn't make no difference who's next to me on this bed, I'm still going to be scared. Now, that doesn't sound terribly terrifying to you, but to me, I have a fear of death. And I was watching that scene and I was like going, damn, that's actually getting to me. That was actually my pure own fear. And I actually really enjoyed that kind of element of this movie. There's all sorts of different bits going on in this movie, which I'd love to talk about, but just as a whole, it's a very, very entertaining watch, which can induce your own fear in here. Sometimes the best horror movies are left up to your imagination, and there are certain aspects of this. There are some they're not gory moments in here, but there are some what the F kind of moments, I have to be honest with you, which actually kind of did get me in certain respects, which all added to the enjoyment of this movie. It took me 2 days to think about what I was going to say, and I've still got loads I want to say and I want to talk about, but where I'm doing this as a non-spoiler, I'm going to have to leave it as that. But if I was to give this a rating, now it's not going to get a 10 out of 10 like The Shining did, but it is going to get a 9 out of 10. And the only reason why I slightly marked it down is because of the predictability of this movie. Now, you get this from the trailer, and you kind of get the storyline straight away. Okay, it's not hard to figure out. I did expect a few more twists and turns, which you do actually get in here, which I'm not going to give away, and I think they're very, very well executed as well. And it's just a very, very enjoyable, entertaining watch, which was probably one of the best 3 hours I had. You know, especially knowing on the back of watching The Shining on Sunday, I just really enjoyed this movie a lot, and I could quite happily sit down there and watch the whole 3 hours again. It's as simple as that. So, on that note, please tell me what you think. Put it in the comments down below as normal. I hope you all have a great rest of the day, whatever you do. Please take care, and goodbye.